350,000 EMS-assessed out-of-hospital cardiac arrests occur in the United States every single year. So these events can happen anywhere, anytime, even in the air. In 2020, First Officer Matt Clark suffered a cardiac arrest over 6 hours into a cargo flight. His life was saved by the quick thinking and the action of his team on board. Matt joins us now today to tell his story and to share the really important message that can be learned from knowing CPR. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Matt, tell us about this really incredible story.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, back in May of 2020, I was a commercial airline pilot at the controls operating a Boeing 777 cargo flight coming back from Europe to the US. And about 6.5 hours into the flight, suddenly, without warning, I had a cardiac arrest and died instantly. Important to note, there were no warning signs, no symptoms. I had no previous medical issues whatsoever. This literally came out of left field, and in the blink of an eye, I was dead.
And luckily, though, you had those around you with some quick thinking and were able to step in with CPR.
Yeah, thankfully, one of my fellow co-pilots, Captain Lee, recognized that I was incapacitated. He reached over, checked for breathing, checked for a pulse, found neither. He immediately reclined my chair, initiated CPR. Eventually, the other pilot, who was on a rest break, got the AED, brought it up to the cockpit. They hooked it up to me. It administered a shock and brought me back to life. But all said and done, they estimate I was dead for roughly 8 to 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Wow. How are you feeling today?
I feel great. I've essentially made a full recovery. I spent 4 days total sedated in a coma on life support, 2 weeks total in the hospital. And today I have no limitations. I can exercise. I can do all the things that I did previously. Literally the only restriction from a legal standpoint is I'm no longer allowed to fly airplanes. So the event effectively ended my career.
Oh, yeah. You're so very, very lucky. And very lucky, too, to have those by you nearby that were able to save your life. I mean, what do you attribute to that and their knowledge of CPR and having that AED?
If my fellow crew members didn't know CPR and there wasn't an AED on board the plane, there's basically zero chance that I would have survived. Those two things are instrumental into ensuring that a cardiac arrest victim can survive. According to the American Heart Association, 90% of people who suffer a cardiac arrest outside of a hospital will not survive. So having someone nearby that knows CPR can double or even triple your odds of survival.
You know, I think this underscores, Matt, the importance of why it is so important to learn CPR and to learn how to use an AED. What message do you want to send to people?
Well, ultimately, what I've learned in talking to people is it can happen to anyone. We all think it's not going to happen to us, but it can happen to you or it'll happen to somebody that you know. So spending those 1 to 2 hours learning CPR is really the difference maker. And odds are you're going to save the life of someone you know. It could be a friend, a family member, or a coworker. So please, please take the time to learn the training.
And finally, where can we go to get more information?
Please go visit the American Heart Association's website at cpr.heart.org. There you can find all kinds of information on where to get trained on CPR and a bunch of other great details.
And Matt, thank you so much for sharing your story, your very personal story, and thank you for getting the word out.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate your help.